The shorts continue to get squeezed as the markets melt up to new all-time highs despite the government shutdown. Not that anybody should have been looking for much there to begin with anyway. It is Wednesday, October 1st, 2025. If you guys liked the video, maybe give it a like. You can also come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts analysis and live day trading. Again, still got a great sale going on across the board here, and codes are right there on the pinned tweet. Let's get into it here today. What a melt up move. And we talked about this yesterday that we were looking for. I did the video early yesterday, so maybe some of you guys could have caught this. We were looking for that melt up into the close yesterday. And this morning, again, I was looking for a trappy tape here. I didn't know which direction it was going to go in. I'll admit, I didn't think we were going to just trend this much today. I thought it would be more of kind of a whipsaw kind of day, and I actually could have seen us. There was a little bit of interest at, and again, the Globex traders win again, but there is some interest at 595 on QQQ. So I was thinking maybe just kind of a chop down to that, and then maybe kind of a choppy finish. But we just trended up after that opening whipsaw, and a lot of people learning now about end of quarter and beginning of quarter. It can be very trappy, and especially with stocks that have a lot of quarterly flow. Look at Apple, right? This is all mutual funds, right? This is all mutual funds, passive investors, just forced buying, and then you see that big reversal there. There was no reason for Apple to be up there at that point, other than just quick money flow. But it did come back in off the highs, and didn't really participate much in the rally. My XLV finally got going though. What a move there. Pfizer kissing the ring, so that was nice to see. But yeah, 3% gain for XLV today, and TSM leading the way in the semiconductor space. NVIDIA not really doing a ton, and that's still, it's up, but it's been a bit of a laggard in the space lately. Nonetheless, though, markets here continuing to melt up, and again, windows closing really fast on bears here. So, unless there's some sort of, reversal here shortly, yeah, that's, your windows here is closing. So that's just, it's just the long and short of it right now. That doesn't mean that we have to just, go straight up like, to 7,200 within the two days or something like that. Every time we have these melt ups too, the price targets just get ridiculous. And we might even see some mean reversion backing and filling, and we might even close the week at 6,700 and 600 QQQ area. But right now, bulls are continuing to prove it over and over. So the more they do that here, especially as we go into a stronger period of what do I say, like dealer structure, you don't want to be fighting that, right? So my case here was, I'll just explain it here. So 6,500, the reason why we were looking for that is that was your kind of like end of quarter, call wall. And again, if you go back to earlier or last year, does anybody know what the quarterly call wall was for Q1? It's pretty obvious. It was actually 6,100. And you can see, yes, we did poke through it a few times, but it obviously went all the way down to the lower end, and it blew out the lower end. And that's actually three quarters in a row that was blown out now. And I actually figured we would blow out second quarter because everybody was going to be bearish shorting the whole way up. So that, ended up working out here. But I didn't really get like bearish until like around 64.50. So, 200 points, it is what it is. But, again, nobody's going to, and this is going to, I'll say this a million times, like nobody's going to get it right 100% of the time. This could easily just be a stock that, I bought and it just went down on me, right? So I know everybody's like always fearful about taking shorts or doing this when there's something's at a new high, or making new highs. There's the bell, by the way. So a little bit of a pullback here into the end of the day, not much. Is that a fake candle on the Qs there? We got to check that against the NDX. Yeah, that's a fake candle. All right. But yeah, it is what it is. So, that was essentially the reasoning for the trade. And you can see it kept it for, you could argue that it started fighting it around the 31st of July. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 rejections before it finally like broke out like right here. So it did take it a while to get through that nonetheless. So that happened, and here we are, and we're almost at the top end of the new like quarterly expected move already, And we're one day into the quarter. So that's very interesting. But yeah, nonetheless, here markets are holding up and, at a fresh high. So we'll see what we get into the end of the week. I think we'll see some mean reversion. And like I said, I know that's like, it doesn't feel like that's the case right now because we just melted up. But to me, it feels a lot like right about here where we had that, or sorry, right here where we had that little dip, and then we just like V-shaped like a little fast, and I went to a new high with a pretty tight divergence or a pretty steep divergence there, and it's not that it went down, but it took like a whole month. Like it literally took a month to get through that. So there's your high, and it's like 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19. It took 20 trading days to really break through that high. I'm not saying that's what happens now, but I'm just saying it's it's a nice move, but it's a little fast here, considering where the last pivot was. So it wouldn't surprise me to see some backing and filling. That's all. The only thing right now, and it's like, again, the market continues to defy any sort of, not that like anybody should have expected, you should never expect a government shutdown to be a thing that's going to catalyst the market down, because everybody knows about it. So of course, there's going to be hedges in place, but it's defied every other sort of event. That said, we won't get any economic data, so we're not going to get jobs data on Friday. So it's just going to be weird to see how the market handles that with hedges. But obviously ADP, we had a 6 sigma miss, and the last month was revised negative again. So a 6 sigma miss, negative jobs, and the market's up. The market just ramped all day, right? So that's what a bull market does. And just to be clear, I know there's a lot of people who think like I'm a perma bear who probably just watched the channel in like the last 2 weeks. No. I was looking for maybe like a 5 to 7% pullback here. That apparently was too much to ask for. And I honestly hate being bearish, so I don't like it, and I don't like to continue to do that when it's being proven wrong. So just to throw that out there. But I'll give a little bit of grace here, maybe into the end of the week. There are a few things here. We are closing out the buyback window, so that is now over with until like really in like the end of the month. So no more buybacks here. And it's probably a stretch, but again, there's just things that I would watch for. Like XLF here down 1% today. It closed below the prior day low. KRE down 33 cents. It defended the prior day low, but it's not strong. Why am I bringing that up? Because you've got, the last time we had a 15 basis points SOFR Fed funds spread here was the repo crisis in 2019. So that is starting to move up. You might say, well, Aaron, the market just went up today, so it doesn't matter. Well, yeah, as long as it's shaking it off, it doesn't matter. But these types of parabolic moves often happen, and there's credit spreads there in case you care. These types of moves here where like tech will just run up with banks lagging, they tend to happen right before big drops while banks are lagging. So I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying to trade off of that. As long as the market holds up, don't fight it. But without buybacks, something like that happened. A financial plumbing problem would take the market down. There's no doubt about that. I don't care what they're doing. That would definitely cause an air pocket. But bottom line, and again, keep saying this level here, 66.50, right? And pre-market, I said earlier that those Globex traders, right? Where is this on the Qs? Yep, 595. And I don't think I have it in front of me right now. Yeah, because it's probably gone because it's the end of the day. But there was a good amount of put wall right there, and they just won't let us get these things pre-market. It's almost like you guys just put like a ridiculous stink bid in for the overnight every night, and then that's how you get paid, just because they're just not letting these dips happen really during the day. But you can see 66.50 again all week long. We're saying as long as we're above that, bulls can take it up. If we lose that, then the trap door can open. But so far, that's held and it's gone up. Triple Qs here again. I'm still kind of watching for this to hover around the 600 handle a little bit longer, but we'll see. Now we're also back to the Russell sucks and the Qs are up. So lower highs here are still possible on the IWM. The Dow didn't do much today either, only up 48 cents on the DIA. SMH here was up 2.25. Again, TSM was the big mover there. And you're going to see here, it's a little bit tougher because it's a Friday expiry, but we did hit an expected move here on, that's not what I wanted. I wanted this, yeah. So SMH here at 330. We'll see if they hedge higher up to 340, but we did hit that already. So again, maybe we see a little bit of backing and filling into the end of the week on that. And again, it wasn't NVIDIA, it was just really TSM. I don't even think Intel, oh, okay, Intel was back up, so, okay, it was. Yeah, it was kind of, yeah, but a lot of that came in the second half of the day, yeah, okay, so I didn't see that earlier. Yeah, but anyway, just throwing those tidbits out there. IGV flat, so not really much going on there. And then the transport still cannot move. So, nothing doing there. Nobody cares. I guess Dow theory is for old timers now. 2-year, I just had it and lost it. 2-year yield down, again, off the jobs data. So the bond market's respecting the data, but the stock market isn't and doesn't have to. 30s were down, but they did not take out the prior day low. XHB, that had a nice afternoon. It was more of a secondary thrust in the afternoon. They got that going. IYR up 5 cents too. This is coiled up, and it has been for a while. We mentioned the banks there. XLF down almost 1%, closing below the low of yesterday. KRE down 33 cents, down 0.5%. But again, what I would be watching here though is does this roll over and does it have volume behind it? If that happens, the last time I saw that happen, I was the only guy, and it was, I was basically screaming on Twitter about it, and it was like right here, it was down 6 or 7%, and the stock market was like flat. And I was like, what the is going on? And then finally, the stock market rolled over like an hour later. But yeah, again, last time I saw significant bank laggardship was around that time too, in February, and you know, don't fight that when you see it. Trust me, I know it. All right, or do, I don't care. Broker dealers here down 2.25 or 2.2, so failed breakout there. Some of that could also just be, I mean, Hood is down 3%, but I mean, you might see some profit taking here after everybody was forced to buy at the end of the month. By the way, good lesson for you. I saw a lot of people trying, I think I said this yesterday too, but a lot of people trying to short this stock. Guys, if it's going to get included in the S&P 500, that means funds are forced to buy it. Please don't short it until after that. Don't short it at all. Like, look at this thing. It's clearly punishing people for that. Wait till it gives you like an engulfing candle or something. But anyway, oil here down 38 cents. XLE, that was fractionally higher. I think energy is very interesting here. Kramer gave it his blessing today too, in the form of that he sold everything, allegedly. XOP, that's a dip and rip, right? So gap down and then close green. Same thing there. OIH, dollar index started off lower, but again, a lot of shorts in this, and again, only finished down 2 basis points despite a terrible jobs report. And by the way, everybody keeps saying like, oh, the dollar going down, that's why everything's going up. I'm sorry, but the dollar hasn't gone down since April. So, I mean, yes, it's having a horrible year, but it has not gone down since April. We're in the same place that we were at the April lows. Meanwhile, stocks, right? Difference. Big difference there. Nobody brings that up. Gold up 14 points. It came off the highs. Little tail candle there. Not enough volume for me to really anoint it as anything. GDX, little doji. Yeah, all right, whatever. Silver touching, or just, did it get to 48? Yeah, it got to 47.97. And that did dip off the highs. SIL and SILJ look about the same. Again, these dojis at the highs can be signals of reversals, but again, we need volume. We need like gold and silver are not, they're dramatic when they top. It's pretty obvious, right? You can see it. and I don't see that just yet here. Platinum here down 1%. Not much else to say there. Palladium still trying to base. Then we had copper continuing to just march back up the chain here. Lastly, Bitcoin up just under 3%. It popped through our spot here. Right, we talked about that, and they did move up, right? So it's important to just, don't take everything I say in here unless you actually are following the data as well. Because yes, we looked at 66, and we talked about 66 on IBIT, but they did move that higher, right? And they moved up to 68 as well. So just be aware of that. If I say something in here, that doesn't mean it's going to look like that the next day. But yeah, nonetheless, it popped through that with good volume. You could argue that just, I don't know, uncertainty with the shutdown. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Just follow price. Ethereum reclaiming 4207, so that's why that can rally. And yeah, I mean, a lot of these moves happening at 4 in the morning. I'm just gonna become a night owl at this point, because I guess the Asian session is where it's at. Taking all our money. So anyway, spiders here again. There's SPX. Yeah, I mean, we saw a little mean reversion by the end of the day here. All right. So, and we might see that a little bit into the end of the week. Like I said, I think it's a little, like you look at it here, like, and again, like it's a little fast for making that from the dip to the new high, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Even did kind of here, it had to pull back for a few days, and then I don't know, it doesn't really matter. Trend is up. So anyway, that's it here. Those are what I'm looking at. You guys take care. Have a great rest of your afternoon, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow morning.